Hi, I'm Steve G. Jones, clinical hypnotherapist, and I want to tell you a little bit about myself before we get started. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology from the University of Florida, a master's degree in education from Armstrong Atlantic State University, and a doctorate in education from Georgia Southern University. I'm a certified clinical hypnotherapist, a member of both the American Board of Hypnotherapy and the National Guild of Hypnotists, and I'm president of the American Alliance of Hypnotists. I'm the director of the Steve G. Jones School of Clinical Hypnotherapy. I also serve on the board of directors of the American Lung Association in Los Angeles. I have over 2 decades of experience in hypnotherapy, and I still maintain a busy practice and teaching schedule because I see clients and teach classes worldwide. My client base consists mainly of people who want to lose weight, stop smoking, or gain confidence. Other clients include sales teams interested in boosting motivation and increasing income. Also, singles looking for love, insomniacs desiring proper sleep, and actors desiring more confidence for their next audition. When I travel to see clients and teach hypnotherapy certification classes around the world, I visit such places as Tokyo, Japan, Barcelona, Spain, Paris, France, London, England, Montreal, Canada, Los Angeles, California, and New York, just to name a few. By the way, since you have an interest in hypnosis, perhaps you would be interested in becoming a certified clinical hypnotherapist. It's very easy to do. All you have to do is go to my website, betterlivingwithhypnosis.com, and click on Hypnosis Classes at the top. You can either train in person or online. After your training, you'll be added to our worldwide directory of certified clinical hypnotherapists, and you'll receive a certificate. I was fortunate for many years to have my office in Beverly Hills, California, where I worked with such wonderful people as Tom Mankiewicz, the writer of Superman, Geraldine Saunders, the writer of The Love Boat, and many other celebrities. I have been interviewed on CNN, Fox News, and appeared on True TV, in addition to having my own hypnosis TV show. With my over 20 years of experience, I'm happy to share with you techniques that I've both developed and learned, which can help you improve your life. I encourage you to visit my website, betterlivingwithhypnosis.com. There you will find my life's work, 22 books on hypnotherapy, over 3,000 hypnosis recordings available as downloadable MP3s or CDs, and these recordings will program your mind to achieve goals in such areas as weight loss, motivation, and stopping smoking. I also have audiobooks, such as this one, where I'm talking with you and sharing with you in a very dynamic way techniques that you can use to improve your life and the way you do things. The reason I'm telling you all of this is not to impress you, but to impress upon you that I, your teacher, am very capable and I know what I'm talking about. I'm also very happy for the opportunity to share this information with you, so rest assured that you're in good hands, and let's have some fun as we now expand your knowledge. I wish you well in all of your endeavors, and please be sure to visit my website, betterlivingwithhypnosis.com. Hello, and welcome to the program that is going to teach you how to control your own mind. So many times over the 20-plus years that I've been a hypnotherapist, people have asked me for a product such as this, something that they can buy and own that will teach them to control your own mind. With my Ultimate Conversational Hypnosis program, available at hypnosis2control.com, I showed people how to take charge of your own mind using hypnosis. There's also a lot of good information in there about how to be more powerful yourself. This program, however, is designed strictly to help you learn to control your own mind. We get right down to work, right down to business, teaching you how to control your own mind. And this doesn't necessarily happen with hypnosis. There are a lot of other techniques that you can use which go beyond hypnosis. So when developing this program, I really had to tap into some information which was very fascinating for me. It's been a journey for me, learning a lot of techniques, brushing up on other techniques, because some of the techniques I'm going to share with you are new to me also. Some of the techniques have been around for a long time, and I've known them for most of my professional career, so I became reacquainted with them and studied them in detail to create this program. So what I have for you is a result of a lot of research and a lot of bringing together old techniques with new techniques to present to you the most powerful mind control program available. Well, it all begins with learning to use your mind in ways that you probably haven't thought of, because they, meaning researchers in this case, say that we only use 10% of our minds. So if that's the case, 90% is unused. Well, this program is going to help you tap into that other 90% so that you can make maximum use of it. But realize there is a tremendous benefit in it for you, even if you're not controlling the minds of others, because using that other 90% is going to be very powerful for you. I want you to imagine coming into contact with someone who just knows everything and realizing that you are going to know everything because you are in contact with this person. Imagine that, just meeting a know-it-all, if you will, and realizing that because you know the know-it-all, you are going to know it all too. Wouldn't it be fascinating and wonderful if that could happen for you? If you could meet someone who knows everything, and because of your association with them, you could just ask them anything you want. It's kind of like having an internet access, but an internet access that gives you truthful information all the time. You don't have to go searching. All you have to do is ask, and you get the correct answer all the time. Well, that is the purpose of this program, to help you actually become that person, to become your own best friend who does know everything. Now, realize that knowing everything is not the same as being able to access and recall everything. You could have learned all the facts in the world, but have difficulty recalling them in the moment because they're so far back in your mind. Well, I want to tell you that you already are that person. You already are that person who has access to unlimited knowledge. And what's been stumping you this whole time is your access to that knowledge, your ability to tap into that knowledge. And this goes beyond meditation. You may have heard about meditative techniques that you can use to tap into people's minds and so forth. This goes beyond that. What I want to share with you is going to take you beyond the need to meditate, because when you meditate, you can tap into universal knowledge. You can open your mind and tap into the Akashic records, tap into other people's thoughts, tap into knowledge that is all around us. But meditation, in my mind, conjures up the image of a person sitting in a certain posture, in a certain room for a certain period of time. What if you could make this more dynamic? What if you could make this something that you could do on the go? Well, that is what this program is all about. Perhaps you've heard of alpha, the alpha state. As a hypnotherapist, I talk extensively about the alpha state. When I talk to people, I talk to them about the alpha state, which is the state that you can slip into easily. You can slip into alpha without even realizing you're there. You can go into alpha by just driving to work, or vacuuming a carpet, or taking a shower, or reading a book, or listening to someone. Anytime that you kind of detach and kind of space out, if you will, and you're not fully present, that is an example of alpha. And we all go into alpha all throughout the day. We go in and out of alpha. And while in alpha, there's a special electrical pattern produced in the brain, and this can be measured by an EEG, an electroencephalograph. This energy is measured in cycles per second. So about 14 cycles per second would be a beta state. That is full awakening consciousness. Your brain cycling at 14 cycles per second. So if you could hear it ticking away, it would be faster than this. Tick, 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 tick. Because that was probably only maybe 3. So if you could hear your brain clicking for each cycle, it would sound very fast, sort of like a helicopter blade spinning around. 14 cycles per minute is fairly fast. When your brain slows down a little bit into the alpha state that I was talking about a moment ago, it slows down to approximately 7 to approximately 14 cycles per minute. That's the alpha state. So the borderline is 14 cycles per second. So when we slow down to 7 to 14 cycles per second, we're in an alpha state. So the borderline there is 14. Once you hit 14, you're on the border of alpha and beta. Now the next border is at the 7 cycles per second mark. So from 4 cycles per second to 7 cycles per second will be theta. And below that, 4 cycles per second and below would be delta. So we have another borderline at 4 cycles per second, where delta meets theta. So as your brain slows down, as you relax more deeply, you go from the beta state, at which your brain is cycling very quickly, down to the alpha state, where you're a little slower, down to the theta state, where you're slower yet, and down to the delta state, where your brain is cycling very, very slowly. So when you're wide awake and doing everything you would normally do, you're in beta. When you're daydreaming or kind of falling asleep but not really asleep, and kind of waking up but not really awake, or mowing the lawn or reading a book or watching TV, any time in which you can kind of check out, or you're not completely awake but you're not really asleep, That's an alpha state. So when you sleep, you start out in alpha, and that is sort of the threshold that takes you into deeper sleep, which is theta and delta. Now, the alpha state is a very powerful state, and we're going to focus some attention on that in this program, because the alpha state is what can give you the power that you need to use mind control techniques. And concerning how you would feel in each state, well, a beta state doesn't necessarily correspond to feeling any certain way, because you're just awake. You're awake and you're aware of what's going on. So you could have any number of emotions going through your mind, yet still be fully awake. So beta presents a lot of different possible feelings that you can have, but the overriding concept is that you are fully awake, no matter how you feel. Most people, interestingly enough, avoid alpha and the deeper states of theta and delta because they like to be in charge. They become almost control freaks, and because of that, they're actually losing the ability to control. Isn't that an interesting paradox? Because they want to maintain their control, they're losing their ability to control. Because in beta, there's not much possibility. In beta, you're wide awake and you feel as if you're in control, as if you're on top of the world and you can do anything. You're wide awake after all. What could possibly be better than being wide awake? How much more can you possibly be in control? Not realizing, of course, that alpha is actually more powerful. But you have to give a little to get a little. You have to give a little bit of your awareness, of your consciousness, of your alertness in order to gain the ability to use mind control techniques. So we're able to do things in alpha that we would really have a difficult time doing in beta. It's sort of like doing something with the lights off versus doing something with the lights on. It's easier to do things, most things, with the lights on because you can see what you're doing. Well, interestingly enough, when we think the lights are on, because we're in beta, we're wide awake, they're actually off. We're actually losing out of the ability to do a lot because we're so alert. That actually is a lights off situation. The lights start to come on when we give up a little bit of that control and we allow ourselves to slip into alpha. So my first job is to teach you how to get into alpha and how to stay there for a long time because alpha is so powerful. Most people realize that when you go into hypnosis, most people who go to a hypnotherapist, I've noticed, know that when you go into hypnosis, you're not really awake. You're not really fully alert. You're at least in alpha. Alpha, by the way, is all that's required for a powerful hypnosis session. So if people want to stop smoking and lose weight and so forth, they can come to me or another qualified hypnotherapist and get put into an alpha state or lower. It's not necessary to go into theta or delta. They can get put into an alpha state or lower, and they can get the change in their lives that they want by being reprogrammed in the alpha state. What a lot of people don't realize is that they can do that themselves, and they can put themselves in alpha, and beyond that, alpha has a lot of other possibilities besides just allowing you to program your mind. It gives you a tremendous amount of power also if you learn to put yourself into alpha. And there are a lot of powers that lie in the alpha state. You know, the ancients really tuned into this, and if you study any writings by the ancient masters, those who studied astral projection and studied reading the Akashic records and studied meditation and mind control, you find out quickly that they were in altered states. The way they write, the way they talk about their experiences, they were in altered states. And even people of more recent note, like Edgar Cayce, it's obvious when you read Edgar Cayce's writings that he was in an altered state when he was performing a lot of the things that he did that people would consider to be out of the ordinary or unusual or even abnormal. But actually all he was doing was tapping into the other 90%, something you can do, something I'm going to teach you how to do. So people over the years have been fascinated with this state, this not really asleep, not really awake state, and they've realized there's something to it. People try to put themselves there all the time, don't they? I mean, drugs and alcohol and all kinds of things that they do to detach themselves from what's going on, sometimes because they're in so much pain they just don't want to be a part of this reality, and sometimes because they just want to find out what it's like to have a far out feeling or feel high or feel out of it, just kind of get away for a while. what people oftentimes don't realize is the tremendous power that's in those states, and also the fact that those states can be created without the use of drugs or alcohol. Drugs and alcohol are completely unnecessary in creating the alpha state. But I think what happens is that most people want the easy way out. They want to get there quickly. They don't want to spend a lot of time learning how to use a procedure to get there, such as you're doing right now, taking the time to learn something solidly that you can use the rest of your life. They just want to grab the bottle or grab some drugs and use that to get where they want to be quickly. What happens there is that they really don't have access to the powers that they could have if they had entered that state naturally. They get to that state, but they're in a numbed version of that state, so they get a little taste of it, they kind of like it, and they want to go back there as often as they can sometimes, but they're really not able to be effective. Not only that, but they pay the price because they're poisoning their bodies. So I want you to be able to step away from all of that, step away from alcohol and drugs, and to be able to use your mind in a very powerful way. So imagine being able to control your own mind. One of the most important ways that you're going to be able to tap into your own mind to be able to get control of it is to be able to meditate. But as I mentioned, you're going to be able to meditate on the go, because sitting still, quietly meditating, that's nice and that's fun, really, and it's interesting and it's fascinating. It's something I do, and it's something that I really enjoy doing, because when I say it's fun, it really is an opportunity to get in touch with yourself, find out what you're going to do, find out how you really feel about things that are going on. And so I look forward to it. I think it's a great adventure in my mind and in my spirit that happens, and I really enjoy it. But it has its limitations. And one of the limitations is the need to sit still and quiet and tune everything out and get focused and take time to wind down and let the lake in your mind kind of calm down and so forth, and then you're meditating. We need to take this show on the road, as they say. I need to get you up and running, literally, so that you can jog and meditate or do anything you want and meditate. Because if you're going to control your mind, you're going to need to be able to do it at any given moment, not just when you're still and quiet and in your bedroom in a meditative position, because that's not really going to benefit you too much if you can control your mind under those ideal circumstances. What happens when you get out into the real world, as they say, and things start happening and you need to react in the moment? Do you have control of your own mind in that moment or not? I want you to have full control of your own mind in every moment. So I want to teach you how to meditate. And realize there are benefits to meditation even if you're not using it to gain control of your own mind. There are benefits that come in the form of health, relaxation, just feeling good about yourself, self-esteem. So you're just going to have some good feelings that result from meditation, whether you use it to control your own mind or not. So here's what I'd like you to do to get yourself accustomed to meditating, just to kind of ease into it and get yourself used to this concept. You may already be meditating, that's fine, but even if you are, go ahead and bear with me, stick with it, and go through this process, because it's going to take you from where you are, wherever you are, into the realm of being able to meditate on the go. So when you wake up, I'd like you to allow yourself to rest again and set an alarm for 10 minutes. So that in case you continue sleeping and sleep through something, you'll be okay. The alarm will wake you up. So when you wake up, set your alarm for 10 additional minutes. Allow yourself to have that time. And during that time, what I'd like you to do is to just close your eyes. And with your eyes closed, I'd like you to look upward. Look upward with your eyes. So you're probably not seeing much with your physical eyes because your eyelids are closed. But your eyes are looking upward. So if your eyes were open, you would see whatever is above you. But you're still lying down in the bed. You're looking up toward your eyebrows. Now make it comfortable for you. You don't have to strain your eyes. Just look up in the direction of your eyebrows. And now what I'd like you to do is to count backwards from 10 to 1. Very slowly, like this. 10 in your mind. 9, 8, and you get the point, all the way to 1. Just counting slowly backward. This is going to relax you. It's going to slow you down. It is, in hypnosis, what we call a deepening, but it's a simplified deepening, which is going to allow you to do it more quickly. You're just counting backwards from 10 to 1. So I want you to let go of the idea of trying to make something happen. I want you just to allow this to happen. Just allow yourself to relax, lie there with your eyes closed, looking upward, and counting from 10 to 1. You're letting go of trying to make something happen or trying to figure out what should be happening or trying to force yourself to be in a meditative state or anything like that. You're just relaxing. And this letting go concept is going to actually allow you to be in the proper frame of mind, to be in the proper state. So it's sort of like by not trying, you're trying. By not trying to do it correctly, you're actually doing it correctly. So I want you to do this exercise for a week. All you're doing is waking up, setting an alarm for 10 minutes, counting backwards slowly from 10 to 1. You're not taking the whole 10 minutes to count from 10 to 1, by the way. You're just counting 10, 9. So it's only going to take you a few seconds to get to 1. But then you're lingering in that state for the rest of the time. You're just being present with yourself. And you're doing this for a full week. After that, for week number 2, what I'd like you to do is start lowering the number. So you've got 7 days in week 2. Instead of counting yourself down from 10 to 1, start counting yourself down from 9 to 1. And the next day from 8 to 1. And then from 7 to 1 and so forth. You've got 7 days, so you can knock off a few numbers. By the time you get to the 7th day of week number 2, you're only counting down a few numbers, and that's allowing you to relax. And what you're doing is weaning yourself off of the need to count. And so for the final day, what I want you to do is just allow yourself to be there, just to be in that state automatically. You see, you're counting yourself there for the first week and then staying there. The second week, you were taking off one of the numbers each day. But on the final day of the second week, I want you to just jump right to being there. You weaned yourself off of it, sort of like stopping smoking. You smoke fewer and fewer cigarettes. Finally, you just stop. And by the way, I want you to also bring yourself out of that at the end. Your alarm's going to go off if you don't come out of it. But I'd like you to start coming out of it before the alarm goes off. So even if you come out a few minutes early, that's okay. At least you brought yourself back out of it. And the way I want you to bring yourself out of it is the reverse of the way you put yourself in it. So if you're counting down from 10 to 1 to get yourself in that state, I want you to count up from 1 to 10 to bring yourself out. If you're counting down from, let's say, 5 to 1 as you go through the second week and you start taking numbers off, then I want you to bring yourself out counting from 1 to 5. So that eventually, at the end of week 2, you're putting yourself into the state automatically and bringing yourself out of the state automatically. Next, put yourself into the alpha state from a more alert state. So you had it kind of easy the first 2 weeks. You were already kind of out of it and waking up and, okay, going back into a restful state isn't really that challenging. But you did put yourself down there and you brought yourself back up. So that is an accomplishment. What I want you to do next might be a little more challenging, but I think you're up for it. So starting with the beginning of week 3, what I want you to do is to get used to putting yourself into the state from a more alert state. So this is going to happen a little later on in the day. Maybe you're at work or maybe you're wide awake doing something else during the day, but make sure it's a time of day when you're wide awake. If you're starting to feel kind of sleepy, that doesn't count because I want you to get used to putting yourself into an alpha state from a fairly alert state. So in your alert state, during the 3rd week, what I want you to do is sit down on a chair or sit down on a bed. Make sure your feet are flat on the floor and put your hands at your sides. And I want you to keep your head straight. So your neck is straight, your back is straight, sitting up nice and tall. Now I want you to relax your body systematically from head to toe. Just take a few moments to do this. Imagine relaxing your head, your shoulders, your chest, your abdominal area, your legs, your feet, all the way down. Just relaxing your body. Then allow your eyes to close if they haven't already. If they close during this process, that's fine, but if they haven't already closed, close them at this point. Now I want you to do your countdown from 10 to 1. And when you come up, I want you to count from 1 to 10. But we're going to shorten it this time. Week 3, I want you to just do it 1 week. So every day you're going to be taking off a number. What happens last day, you go ahead and jump to putting yourself right into it and taking yourself right out of it. Because you're counting down on day 1 of this week from 10 to 1. And you're counting yourself up from 1 to 10. On day 2, you're counting down from 9 to 1 and bringing yourself up from 1 to 9. So you do that for that week. At the end of that week, just jump to putting yourself in the state and bringing yourself out. Now, what is the state you're putting yourself in? That alpha state, that relaxed state. Now, if you fell asleep during the exercises that you're doing for the first couple weeks, don't worry about that. That's fine. That's normal. That's okay. But sleep is not what we're after here. We're after that twilight feeling, that feeling of not quite awake, not quite asleep. You're right in between. So I want you to shoot for that. And by the way, you don't do any of these exercises while driving. Okay, so Now you have the ability to put yourself in that alpha state. After you've completed all of these exercises, you have the ability to put yourself into that hypnotic alpha state at any time. So realize that you drift into this state while you're jogging or watching TV or doing any number of things all the time. This is just normal for you. But now you're taking charge of it. You're making it happen. And by the end of that final week, you're going to be able to make it happen instantly. And you're going to be able to bring yourself out of it instantly. Realize it's safe, though, to stay there for a long time. Now, just for safety purposes, I want you to avoid doing this while driving. There are enough people on the road who are not really with it. I don't want to add one more of those people to the road who's not really with it. So make sure you're focused completely when you're driving. When you're driving, you're driving. I want you to be in beta. I want you to be fully awake and alert and aware of what's going on. This technique you can use at other times when you're doing other things that don't require operating heavy machinery. But now you have the ability to take the show on the road, to put yourself in a meditative state while you are doing other things. And what are we going to do as the final exercise during the final week? That's right. I want you to practice doing this while doing other things. I want you to make sure you have it. So you're already up and running. You're already going to be in a meditative state while you're doing other things. But I want you to practice it. I want you to make sure you have that ability. So the first 2 weeks, you had to lie down in your bed. The third week was more interesting because you got to take time out of your day and put yourself there. And by the way, 10 minutes is fine for week 3, 10 minutes at a time. And what you do with your mind while you're there, so far is up to you. So far you can do whatever you want with your mind while you're there. There's no focused exercise during that time. You can think whatever you need to think. You can think about what you need to do, who you are, where you're going in life, whatever you want. It's your meditative time. During the 4th week, I want you to do the same thing you did the 3rd week, except eliminate sitting down with your feet on the ground and your arms at your sides. I want you to be doing whatever it is you normally do, other than driving, other than operating heavy machinery of any kind. And I want you to put yourself into that state. How do you do this? Same way you've been doing it. Count yourself down from 10 to 1 and count yourself up from 10 to 1 afterwards. You'll do it for 10 minutes. But this time, I want you to do it at different times when you're doing different things. Make it interesting and fascinating and dynamic. So while you're doing the dishes, for example, you can count yourself down from 10 to 1. Stay there for 10 minutes, approximately, if that's how long it takes to do the dishes. Bring yourself up from 1 to 10. Day 2, it's 9 to 1 and 1 to 9. Day 3, you know the routine. All the way down to the last day where you jump to going into it and taking yourself out of it. Doesn't have to be 10 minutes. Can be a little longer, can be a little shorter. That's up to you. What I would like you to do is to work on increasing the time that you're staying in that state so that by the end of the week, you're staying in there for a long time. Some people get really ambitious about this and stay in there for a few hours, say 3 hours or so by the end of the week. I want you to ramp up the time during which you're staying in there. 10 minutes would be the minimum. If you go a little bit below 10 minutes the first of the week, that's fine. Doesn't have to be exact. You don't have to set a timer anymore. But by the end of that week, I want you to be in there for a long time, whatever that means for you. If 20 minutes is a long time, then 20 minutes is a long time. If 3 hours is a long time, 3 hours it is. Maybe it's 5, maybe it's 7 hours. However long you can maintain that state. So that is your homework.